What's up, everybody? My name is Ahmed Ahmed. This is my co-host.
Blake Barty, how's it going?
This is another episode of Hollywood Tales. This is a special episode of Hollywood Tales
Super excited.
because of our guest who is standing by, I think, or is he?
Not in the waiting room yet.
He's coming on soon. I don't want to tip the hat too early, but we are here at Jam in the Van. This is their new space. It's right in the heart of West LA. 3384 Motor Avenue between Venice and Pico. It's a really cool facility complex. It used to be a rehab center, and now it's a place for musicians and comedians, so nothing really changed. But a fun space, and so big thanks to Jake and Dave and Jack Higgins, our creative director. Wolf Romero is over here. You can't see him. Thanks for engineering this whole thing. And go to jaminthevan.com for show dates and tickets.
All right, give me 1 second. Okay, right
Okay. All right. We are, that was our guest. We didn't reveal it, but he's on the poster, so you know, right?
Yeah.
Like when people watch it. That was Vince Vaughn, everybody. That was Vince Vaughn trying to log into the StreamYard link that we use for our virtual podcast. He's not in studio with us. Where this is going to be virtual. Hopefully, maybe not. He asked if it was going to be a call-in. Like, can I call in? And I was like, no, we want to see your lovely face. We'll figure it out. All right, well, until we get Vince Vaughn back, you all know him from Wedding Crashers. Swingers is where he got his big break. Steven Spielberg. Funny story. Maybe I should let him tell it. No, I'll tell it. When Swingers was made, there's a scene in the movie where Vince is talking to a girl and the Jaws soundtrack plays in the background. Do you remember that? Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. They had to get permission from Steven Spielberg to use that in the movie. So Steven Spielberg had to watch Swingers, and he was like, "Who's this Vince Vaughn kid?" And he put him in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's a Hollywood tale.
Crazy.
I should have let Vince tell it, but
Probably been
too late, Vince. Let's just keep talking until he comes on. I've known Vince Vaughn almost 30 years. We met on an after-school special called The Fourth Man with, coincidentally, Peter Billingsley, who was the star of it. Peter was on our podcast a few episodes back. We have a picture of Peter Billingsley and Vince Vaughn, a young Vince Vaughn and Peter Billingsley and Tim Rossovich from A Fourth Man. That's them right there. And I was an extra. Peter was the star. Vince was the co-star. An unknown Vince at the time. Very unknown Vince. And he was nice to me as an extra, which never happens.
Yeah.
If you watch Peter's version, remember his story? He was like, yeah, I'd never be nice to the extras.
What's the extra doing in your trailer?
Yeah, what's this extra doing in your
Hanging
trailer?
out.
I was hanging out with Vince Vaughn, during lunch in his little honey wagon trailer, and we were just chalking it up. And that's how we became friends. And we, kind of were in the young Hollywood scene, running around auditioning. I was working a couple different jobs, waiting tables and personal training, and but we all lived in this little.
Wait, you were a personal trainer?
I was a personal trainer. I was.
Nice.
You don't see these guns, bro.
Hell yeah.
I was a personal trainer for a very short period. It was easy money. I wasn't even certified. I just knew like how to work out.
All right.
And when you're in Hollywood and you want to make, I think I was making $75 an hour, sometimes $100 an hour, because my clients were like these big spenders.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of money waiting tables. But we would audition and go out for stuff, and then we eventually were kind of old enough and confident enough to go to the nightclub scenes when we were underage. We had like fake IDs, or Vince would always have these tricks up his sleeve and get us into like the hottest nightclubs.
So this is you and Vince Vaughn, pre like 21-year-old.
Pre 21. We were 19.
Nice.
So me, Peter Billingsley, Vince Vaughn. Who else was in that crew? Marcus Redmond, who I should have on the podcast at some point. He used to be on the show Doogie Howser, and he's been in a couple movies. He's become more of a writer director now. And there was a small group of us, and we were. Oh, here he is again. Hey, pal.
But I can't seem to do it. Oh, hold on.
Do you want to just do it off your phone? I swear to God, people, it's really him. All right, it's not like an imaginary friend. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Drum roll. Our guest here on Hollywood Tales is none other than actor producer. I also realized he has some soundtrack credits. Do you know that? Yeah, if you go on his IMDb, he has 2 credits for being in a soundtrack. Like he sings in a song. One's with Dwight Yoakam
Ooh, nice.
on their Wild West comedy show, and the other one was on Jimmy Fallon for something. He sung on Jimmy Fallon, and he got a soundtrack credit.
Hell yeah.
I didn't know you can do that. Let's talk about some shows we have coming up. We have Jam in the Van right here on site. They have a indoor, outdoor, early show, late show. We're on the late show on February 22nd. Go to jaminthevan.com. It's Ahmed's Comedy Compound. A bunch of fun comics are going to be on the show. Blake will be on the show.
Yeah.
February 16th, we are at the Brea Improv. Brea Improv. Just go to Brea Improv, Ahmed Ahmed. You'll find tickets. 50% off promo code if you use the promo code Ahmed, my name. 50% off. It's a huge space. So if you can spread the word, tell your friends, get a big group out there. It'll be a fun night. Again, Blake's on the show. Joe Urell is on the show. Anya Zova, Renee Percy, Jen Sturger. It's a very, very female-forward show and presentation.
Well,
I'm
there's
headlining
3
it.
females and 3 males, but
Is he here? All right.
here we go.
Hey, how are you?
What's up, brother?
So sorry it had to be by phone. This transferring to new servers is not my strong suit.
It's all good, man. You look great.
Thank you.
Thanks for making time.
My pleasure.
This is our little studio at Jam in the Van here in West LA.
Very nice.
I just wanted to get you on and off because I know you're busy. So
No worries. I'm happy to jump on.
I was telling everybody how we met. Peter B came on the podcast and told the whole story about don't talk to the extras and and how, you kind of took me under your wing and we became friends. And it was just kind of a funny story. We were referencing the fourth man in that. But I guess you said you had a couple questions really quick if you want to just dive in.
I guess we just dive right in. What are you most proud of at this point in your career?
What am I most proud of at this point in the career? Gosh, I don't spend too much time really reflecting or looking back. I'm normally sort of always kind of looking ahead. But, to be honest and thinking about it, just working as an actor, coming from where I came from, was an odd choice to be a professional actor. And really, I think like a lot of people, my focus was really just to try to do it, keep doing it, and then to make a living doing it. So my progression was very much, both my parents worked, so I did sports, and I also my mom put me in musical theater when I was like 7 or 8. And so it was just one of the activities that I did. And then I liked to be funny and did some plays and some talent shows. And there's a great film class at my high school that's still in place today where we had cameras and got to make things and shoot things and learn how to edit. And then with Chicago being close to the suburb I grew up in, I started training in the city with different types of classes. I took the Improv Olympic, which was Del Close, who started Second City, started that, and Shakespeare. And there's a lot of great theater and training in Chicago. As soon as I could drive, I was going down all the time.
Yeah.
And then I started to work professionally as an actor and actually get commercials, which was a big deal. And that's how it was. If you could get up and perform improv on stage, that was a big deal. The nice thing in Chicago was you weren't doing something to get hired. Like you weren't, no one was going to see you in the audience. You were really doing it because you liked it and to get better. And then when I got an agent, just to get a line or be in a commercial was a big deal. And that never stopped. You know, after I had some success locally, after high school, I moved out to LA. I was able to get an agent very quickly. And I was able just to keep taking classes, keep growing at the craft and just keep pursuing work, which was terrific. So for me, I think it's a good place to start is just liking it and continuing to try to get better at it. I was less results oriented, although of course you wanted to work, but I was way more focused on whatever job you got felt like such a big deal. Getting a line on a TV show was a big deal. And then 5 lines was a big deal, then a co-star. So it was really, I think just being able to pursue what I love and to have the chance to make a living doing it is terrific.
Yeah, I think when I see what I think makes you so special as a fan is that you can tell that improv translates into a lot of your, comedy. I don't think a lot of the scripts were written, that you just improvised a lot of things in them, and I appreciate that.
Well, Vince, your body of work speaks for
Directors
itself.
the directors always don't. The writers don't always appreciate that. I'm kidding. No, in comedies, people usually always add and change stuff. And, some of the movies I actually wrote or we would write on without, just kind of as it goes. So it's very collaborative that way.
Yeah.
So like when you did Swingers, that was kind of like the, let's say the film that put you on the map, let's say. There was a lot of collaboration with Favreau and like the sort of writing process, right? With you sort of adding lines and sort of structuring the story as to like having a sort of beginning, middle, and an end, and making sense for the audience.
A lot of stuff that I just said being funny as a friend were things that were put into the screenplay. John definitely went and wrote the movie and had the initial idea for it, and that was great. But I think a lot of dialogue that we said from friend groups and things that I said found their way into the movie. But I was just so grateful to, have a friend who wrote a script like that. But yes, on that and that we would, play around with lines, improvise some of those scenes, like that trailer park scene that ends when he says that line that always made me laugh. We all have stories, was sort of based on that. And we had read that script so many times that we could play around, and John came from that background to improvise. And it wasn't so official when you started. We just were giving ideas and people were giving and contributing. And I think a lot of comedies work that way. A lot of the comedies that you've seen as far as dialogue or structure ideas get worked on. And I mean, even the movie process today, that continues. I think a lot of times, depending on the collaborators, people are, giving thoughts and pitching. So that's kind of not a unique process. It's in the course of making something.
You have tons of quotable lines from all of your movies, most likely. Do you ever get sick of having such quotable lines? Do people come up to you in public and kind of shout them at you?
I don't mind. It's nice, you can become part of the culture in some ways. And I always say that to screenwriters. I'm producing this movie right now that I rewrote. I had a writer who would write traditional kind of holiday, whether they would be those kind of Hallmark films. Mm-hmm. And then we went through and kind of made it more adult and contemporary with language and stuff, which was super fun, but keep the scene structure the same. But I always suggest that you want to write your own slang.
Yeah.
You're better to come up with, and friend groups do this naturally. Ahmed, our group of friends would have things we would say that from the outside people go, what is that? But you're kind of enjoying and making each other laugh. Right. And I feel like as a writer or as, depending on what you're doing, you're always better to kind of come up with your own way of saying something or really just kind of come up with your own slang. Or it stays with people more. It's more impactful. And if you're following what's out there, a lot of times you're kind of behind what's current, feels less sort of fresh and fun.
Well, nice. Vince has definitely been, your wit just speaks for itself. I remember when we were younger, we would go to nightclubs and stuff, and you used to get us into these certain spots and things before we were of age.
Yeah.
And it was incredible just to watch how like just funny and quick we were just able to get into these places. And I always ask you, what'd you say to that person? And it was just something I would never even comprehend.
The gift of gab.
it's the gift of gab, but I think you brought it into your body of work as an actor, you know, and I think going from swingers to doing your indie films to going into big blockbuster comedies and then going back into like, you know, we were talking about Brawl and Cell Block 99, and I think that's, and I'm not saying this as your friend, I'm saying this as a fan and seeing everything you've done. That's my favorite movie you've ever done.
Nice.
And I know you went back and worked with the same director on Dragged Across the Concrete. But like I watched that film twice, typically because it was just like too graphic the first time for me to watch. You gotta watch it. It's
Haven't seen
incredible.
it
But
yet.
what made you like what drew you to that script and that film? Like what was your you know? It's because it was such a dark piece going from like the
It's funny.
traumas.
I comedy always came easy to me, and it wasn't like I had some major training there. Even though I did improv in Chicago, it was for about 4 months, and it was helpful. But I didn't pursue going on a sketch show. I didn't want to do sketches. I preferred the narrative of a story or a character. So I started off, and after Swingers, you're right, I gravitated to much more independent films. And then the fun stuff about the mainstream R movies and studio comedies we were doing is they felt kind of reckless and fun. We were having a good time. You were kind of like a rock album. You weren't looking to be liked by everybody. It was very much of the time, and that was a blast to do. Where a lot of the felt like you were doing something original. And then as I got older and the position I got in, even with doing stuff like Freaky, which is more horror, even though it's a comedy or brawl, you just want to try different experiences. It's fun to get to play. I've done bigger blockbusters things and smaller movies. It's fun to do all of those different types of things and have those experiences. And I've loved writing or producing and editing films, but it's also nice just to be an actor, even a supporting actor, and go be supportive of someone else's vision. So I always enjoyed the process of getting to a place sometimes where you feel like maybe this water is a little deeper than I'm used to. It's something I'm not used to. Let me push myself and have that experience. I think you grow, and I think it keeps you interested, and it's more fun versus just trying to repeat something that was successful. Most of us get in this because we're exploring and find things interesting. So
Yeah.
Brawl to me was just terrific material. I liked Bone Tomahawk that writer director had done. He's great. So I was thrilled to go and participate in that and to do something that's a little bit, different than I had done, at least in recent years.
And now you're doing Curb, which is probably a breath of fresh air, right? Curb Your
I love
Enthusiasm.
Garland. I know Garland from back in Chicago. I was in high school one time, and he came with Second City, and I volunteered and got on stage and improvised with him. So I've known him forever. I think he's
Wow.
great, and Larry David is terrific. I like Larry. I love Jeff Schaefer, who runs that as well. All those guys are great. It's fun to go and play around, and I like that those guys are kind of being funny and not following any rules, but I kind of enjoy that as well. So it's just nice to try to get the chance to do different things that are with people that you appreciate.
People love you on that show, man. I just want to talk about Wild West a little bit, and then we can wrap it up. But Wild West Comedy Tour, 30 cities, 30 nights. You know, that was your idea. That was your concept. There were your picks of comics. I think people just want to know, like, what was your inspiration for that?
You.
Yes.
I had known you for a long time. Obviously, we met on that after school special, and that's right. You were an extra, and I had got a leading role, but we were the same age, and I think I had just gotten started pursuing actors sooner than you did acting. And then also, I could just see for you sometimes, going out for parts, it was like, not as many obvious things for you to go out for. So, and you were pursuing stand up. And so I thought, how can I be supportive? And I used to go down and watch a lot of stand up. Truth be told is I did a little stand up younger, and I never loved it. Not meaning that I was afraid. I wasn't. It just, I didn't want to get up on a mic and say the same thing in different cities every night. It wasn't
Right.
engaging for me. I much preferred being in a scene and acting. And I like stand up for sure, and I can appreciate it, but it wasn't, my calling. I probably wouldn't have gone to I wouldn't have gone to any of the stand up comedy shows probably if it wasn't for you. But in going to it and seeing it, I thought at the time, which is strange to say now, there was a time in the 80s where the comics were super popular. You'd go on Carson, they'd get sitcoms. And when you were younger, Ahmed, and starting off, that was kind of dried up. It was not,
Yeah.
comics did not have the leaping off point that they once did. You
Mm.
just did not see comics, stand-ups anyway, getting the opportunities that the generation previous got. And so I thought, oh, what's a way that I can do something that's kind of fun and kind of help showcase Ahmed and some other comics that he likes, and do something and kind of take a road into what that process is for people. So people can see the process of a stand-up who's starting off or maybe hasn't, who's a good stand-up but hasn't necessarily transcended, and be in support of those careers, as well as showing the audience something that would be interesting, which is to see behind the curtain of how that happens. So I thought of Wild West because Buffalo Bill was originally used to have the Wild West comedy show, and I believe he was from Illinois originally, and so he would do these shows from the West with cowboys and different Western themes, and he would bring it back to the East Coast and do a tour, and the people on the East felt like, oh wow, we're getting a sample of what's authentically what's happening in the Wild West. And so as a theme on that, I thought I would take comics who were positioned in doing stand-up at the Comedy Store in these places all the time out West, and I would start to bring it more East, although stopping in Chicago because that's where I grew up, outside the city, instead of going all the way on that particular show. And I figured, what's another hook? Well, you just do a show every night. You'll maximize what does it feel like to every night have to do stand-up instead of taking nights off. We'll just do it every night. We'll hit as many places as we can. It'll get a chance to put these comics in front of, theater crowds larger than they would have. We'll do a fun kind of variety show. For me, it was fun to get on stage. I hadn't done that in a while, and do some sketches and MC the show. And we'll kind of film it and make something out of it where we can kind of see some insight into these comics and their process, and sort of find the narrative as we go. And then, the movie turned out really well and was well received, and I think was interesting. And it started originally, I started doing them as charity shows. I would do it. I would take the funds. I think I'd pay you guys a little bit, and then the rest of the money I would just donate to some kind of cause. And they were fun to do as a one-off. And we kind of learned as we went, right? We realized if I didn't go on stage very long, sometimes the crowd would get upset. Remember that?
Yeah, because
I always thought you guys were so funny. So I would just go and announce you guys, and then they would start getting mad. And I realized, I got to go out and do something. Like, I didn't prepare anything, but I better go out and say something. Like, even though you guys were terrific and were funny, I think they felt like, oh gosh, this guy said he was part of the show. He better do something.
Right.
So that's when it evolved. I started writing sketches and doing things so that it was a, compliment in between the stand-up sets.
Right. Well, they didn't come to see us. They came to see you. We were the sort of filler.
Yeah,
but,
they might have come for me, but I think they really appreciated you guys and enjoyed you. So
in
I
the
think it was
end,
finding
absolutely.
that balance. I think it was finding that balance of giving them enough of what they were expecting, because they were always really super excited and enjoyed all the stand-up sets once they saw them.
This tour was so fun. We did 30 cities in 30 nights. We were on tour buses. It was literally like a dream come true for a comic. If
Monster
you didn't,
comics,
none of us had anything going on at the time. It was Sebastian Maniscalco, John Caparello, Brett Ernst, myself. There were some special guests. Dwight Yoakam, singer, songwriter, came on. By the way, I didn't realize you have a soundtrack credit from that song you sung with him in Bakersfield.
Oh yeah, I didn't think much of it. He put me on the spot. Dwight was an old friend, super talented. He was one of my favorite artists. I was a fan before I ever met him, and then got to know him very well. He's such a talented guy and just a great guy on top of it. And he was, I grew up listening to a lot of country music, and so Bakersfield and Buck Owens, and I was always well aware and a fan of that, as you know, because I used to play it all the time where we lived and get in trouble with the neighbors. But Dwight, put me on the spot. He knew that I knew these songs, and so in Bakersfield, I think we're at the Fox Theater, although we probably should have been at the Crystal Palace. But he had me sing the song with him just one night.
We did a lot of cool things on this tour. Aside from the shows, we got to we met Buck Owens. We went to the Notre Dame football field. Remember, we hung out with some of the players. We got to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like we just did a lot of cool little novel things on that tour that were so memorable. And then it came out as a movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really cool.
It was fun to take a road trip too and have that experience and be in the circus for 30 days and get to go to those cities and perform to different crowds in different places. I think that's always a great experience for sure.
And this tour was put together, I think, in like 10 or 12 days after we were having dinner at Gibson Steakhouse. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, once you make your mind up on something, I think that we're able to.
It happened fast.
Good people working and helping me, like Victoria, my sister, and Peter Billingsley. We just organized it in John Isbell. We called the theaters and booked it, and got the nights. And I had to keep getting up. I think it's in the thing. I was tired. I had to get me up at different hours because we were starting in the West Coast and the East Coast was earlier. So I'd have to get up and do radio shows to let them know that we were coming and explain what the show was. We played we played the Ryman before there was a lot of stand-up shows at the Ryman.
Yep.
In Nashville, so that was fun. But that was fun to do. And Peter, like Ahmed was saying, meeting on the after school special, is such a he's such a talented guy and such a good guy. And I've been lucky to maintain a friendship with him for all these years, and he was so instrumental in that as well.
Nice.
Well, look, bud, I know you're busy. You're juggling a lot, so I didn't want to keep you on too long. But
no, it's great to talk to you, and nice to meet you as well. And
nice to meet you, Vince.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it again another time.
Yeah, and whenever you want. And good luck on. I know you have something coming up that you're going to be filming, so best of luck on that. And I was going to ask you for your best Hollywood tale, but I think you kind of already gave us enough.
My best Hollywood tale, you meaning? In a tale as far as
funny
story. It could be a funny story. It could be a funny thing we did back in the day. It could be something, whatever.
Funny story. Yeah. One that would relate to you and Peter was we did that after school special, and I remember I sat next to you, and then you hung out in the trailer, and Peter was like, "What are you doing? You don't hang out with the extras like." This is, like, what are you doing? You don't know these people. It could be crazy. Like, I said, well, he's just 19. He's like the same age as us, and whatever. It's nice. And Peter's like, this is weird. Why are you doing this? And then I remember I had some money from doing commercials and stuff, and I had gotten a condo in Hancock Park, and me and Ahmed maintained friends and became friends very quickly, and you were thinking of moving up, and I encouraged you, I believe, to come from Riverside. I said, wow, you could pay me some rent and, stay at the place while you get started and kind of figure it out and pursue it more seriously. You were leaving community college, I believe. And Peter was moving from Arizona full time to live in Los Angeles, obviously was a very successful actor. And I said the same thing to him. I said, well, why don't you crash with me? You can pay me a little bit of money for a couple of months while you kind of figure it out. But I didn't tell either of you that I suggested it to the other person. And so I remember, were you there first or was Peter there first?
I was there first. Because
you were there first.
He knocked on the door.
I remember you opening the door and Peter just being completely shocked.
Yeah, he said Ahmed was holding a feather duster.
Yeah, not only is he having lunch with this background artist, but now he's brought him to live in his place, and I'll be living under the same roof as him. And of course, the fun of that is that obviously you and him became best friends within probably a week. You guys were inseparable ever since. He would go down to your families in Riverside for Thanksgivings and things away from where he lived, and you guys have stayed super close friends and have always been best pals. So it was just funny to me that what started off as kind of this controversial move ended up becoming such a great friendship. So
that's an awesome tale, man.
You guys have a cool crew.
We appreciate your time, man, and love you.
Awesome.
Love you as a brother. Love you as an actor. Love you as a producer. Love you as an artist.
Yeah, I love you guys. Love you as well. It's such a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vince. Appreciate it.
We'll be in touch, brother. Oh, that was quick.
All right.
Did he cut himself off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was cool.
That was cool. He was on for a minute, right?
Yeah.
How long was he on there for? I didn't want to.
25 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. I asked him for 20, so He probably would have stayed on longer.
Yeah, you
I don't want to. I don't
fucked
want
up,
to.
man.
I fucked up, man. No, that was nice of him to make time.
He was having a good time.
If you guys want to, you're at 37 minutes right
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. That's a good little.
Ladies and gentlemen, big thanks to my brother, friend, actor, comedian extraordinaire, Mr. Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, the
Thank you.
legend.
Thank you, my brother. That was. This is a meaningful episode for me because I've known Vince almost 30 years now.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys were so young when you guys.
And
met.
he's always been a big fan and like cheerleader of my career and stuff, and just a great friend and brother on top of that. So thank you, my brother Vince. And just another reminder that we have episodes in the bank. If you want to go to YouTube and subscribe to Jam in the Van, check out our past episodes. We have a bunch of episodes coming up with some really cool guests. Live show here on February 22nd. Live comedy show, February 22nd, 10 o'clock show. Go to jaminthevan.com. February 16th, Brea Improv, Ahmed Ahmed. Half off promo code if you use the word Ahmed, AHMED. We'll be at the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, February 18, 19, Friday, Saturday. And I think that's it for now. Anything else? Am I missing?
That's it.
If you haven't been to this space, check it out. It's a multiplex that's just filled with cool artistic energy and music and comedy, and it's smoke friendly. And yeah, so follow me on Instagram at Ahmed Ahmed Comedy.
Follow me at Blake.Barty.
And want to thank the two Jakes, Dave, Jack Higgins, Wolf Ramirez, and the whole staff and crew here at Jam in the Van.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you all. See you next time.
Right.